welcome to Namaste with Renee. I am your host, Renee Marcoux, CEO of the iHeart Academy Life Coaching Certification and Business Building Program, entrepreneur for over 15 years, spiritual and wealth advocate, and professional singer. And in this podcast, we talk about how to disrupt the program of lack and limitation and instead consciously design your life so you can experience more happiness, inner peace. You can be living on purpose in your career and also realize your unlimited potential. Hello and welcome to Namaste with Renee. I'm your host, Renee Marcoux. So excited to be here in this episode sharing something very special and very enlightened with you. My dear friend, Jennifer Spor is here today. As you can see, she's in the video with me. So I want to tell you a little bit about Jennifer. She is an Akashic Records channel. She's a soul-led business mentor and a strategist for high-achieving spiritual leaders who are ready to step into the next level of expansion in living not only their life purpose and fulfilling their mission. She also is the host of Awaken on Purpose podcast. So woohoo, another podcast to check out, everyone. Yeah. And when she isn't in her business contributing to raising the consciousness of the planet, she's out in nature and enjoying new adventures with her husband. I'm loving nature as well all the time in nature, Jennifer. So welcome to the show, my dear friend, Jennifer Spor. So happy to have you here, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for such a high vibe welcome. And
my pleasure.
It's such an honor to be on your show and to have this conversation today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are so welcome. And thank you so much. It's completely an honor to me to have you as my colleague too here, sharing your gifts. And I just know exactly where I want to showcase you and your specialty today. So if you're cool, let's just dive right into our conversation.
Yeah, let's play.
All right, let's play. So I am super interested in learning more about the Akashic Records. And I know in a private conversation that you and I had prior to this interview, we talked about the Akashic Records and how you show up and help other people go into their records and all the amazing things you've done with the Akashic Records so far. So for anybody who doesn't know what the Akashic Records is, can you give us kind of like a breakdown on it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So the Akashic Records, so each one of us has, our own Akashic Records, essentially. It's also often referred to as the Great Library or the Book of Life, but the Akashic Records are a library of every thought, feeling, past life event, experience, and also potential possibility, that exists for us. One of the things that I really love about the records is that, when you have, let's say, an intuitive or a psychic reading with someone that isn't working in the records, those can be very accurate, right? But what's happening is that whoever's reading for you is tuning into your consciousness. And when you're working with someone in the records, there is no subjectivity in terms of the energy. You're literally tapping directly into your own individual records, which has unlimited information, right? For anything that you could want or desire support around. It's amazing. I mean, my short explanation here really doesn't even do it justice, but working in the records, it's not just about receiving information, but also about healing. I recently read for a client who had commented to me in a session, that I changed, that her whole life changed in like 25 minutes. I mean, we were only halfway through.
Wow.
An hour-long session, and that's how quickly the shifts can happen, right? Yeah. And you know this because you're an expert in manifesting. the shifts can happen as fast as we're willing to allow them to happen, right? And so, contrary to what's widely promoted in the personal development industry, you know, we don't always have to get into the story or peel back 50 layers to discover, you know, whatever it is we're looking for. There is a time for that, but more often than not, just even having a willingness to shift the energies, change can happen in an instant. So it's just, the records are amazing.
Wow. I know it sounds so incredible. And I know you and so many other amazing leaders who are using the Akashic Records to channel, you know, the information and to help people just in like a nanosecond be able to heal certain areas or certain specific energies, right? It's like sometimes we don't even know what it is that we need to clear out.
Yes.
It happens and the work is done for us, right?
So true. It's really the ego mind, you know, that part of our personality that feels like it has to know everything.
Right.
And you don't have to know the why behind everything. And I love that you're bringing this up, actually, because often when we're on a spiritual path on our growth journey, there is a tendency to kind of like get stuck in our head sometimes on where we need to go next and what we want to learn next, but actually feeling more into our bodies, leaning more into what truth feels like for us. And do we feel aligned? And if we don't feel aligned, we don't always have to know why. But having the willingness to just shift that can even be enough.
Exactly. I'm so glad that you brought that up and said that too. I mean, like the first time I ever even had a Reiki session back, like I think it was 15 or something, and I had never experienced energy, you know, in that way before. And it was one of those feelings, and I'm sure this is like this, like in the Akashic Records readings with you too, because it's like, I walked in and I didn't know what to expect. I've always done like, okay, I need to heal this and put so much energy toward healing or pushing things away back when I was so young. And after having that transmission of energy, I left feeling like all my answers were answered. Like, and all my questions were answered. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know I had questions, but it's just like such a powerful experience. I know Reiki and Akashic Records reading is like two different modalities of healing, but both having to do with energy and how you can like literally allow the energy to just flow out of you, and the ego doesn't have to be in the way of trying to figure it all out. So
yes. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Reiki. So I'm also a trained practitioner in Holy Fire Reiki. Oh yeah, I have all kinds of things. Oh my God. I've been at this for quite a few years, but Reiki is very powerful, and Reiki is often a first initial step, you know, for a lot of healers. And the Akashic Records are deeper than that.
Yes.
Even more expansive. So if you're someone who, you know, values that type of work, right? And you're just ready for a shift, Reiki is great. I think of it as like a great gateway, you know, but when you're ready to go deeper, I highly recommend exploring your records.
Yes, definitely. And especially too, how you said it's past lives, it's what you can get information for the future, where you're currently at, like maybe
exactly,
things that are holding you back. That's powerful. So I want to know, how did you get into this, Jennifer?
Well, so I've been on a path of growth for many years at this point. But I've been working in the records, just in my own records informally, for a period of time. And then I just began to feel called to explore the records deeper. And so last year, around June, I stepped into an Akashic Records mastery program learning the soul journeys method of working in the records through Jennifer Longmore. And it's been amazing. And I'm someone who, you know, like I said, I've invested a lot in myself in terms of training. And even before the records, I've been providing readings and intuitive support for clients for a long time.
Yes.
So that's really how I got into it. The records often will call to you. You'll feel guided and drawn toward them, whether that's a formal training or just beginning to work in the records on your own. You know, you can find lots of information on YouTube, you know, in terms of guided meditations on going into your own Akashic records. I would just include a disclaimer that when you're sifting around online, right, to know what truth feels like to you in your body, right, and to be discerning in the information that you're choosing to allow in to your energetic field.
Yes, I love that you said that. I love that because it's not that like you're not saying like you can find everything on YouTube that's going to be like the end all. It's like, let's open the door and be mindful about the people that are sharing and see if that speaks in your truth, so that you're only exposing yourself in the Akashic records to somebody who's really holding you or the energy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Very important to keep in mind, listeners out there, for sure.
Yes, and manifesting through the records, right? You can do anything through the records. And you and I have received similar training in the art of manifestation too. So another amazing thing that we share.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. And I love that it intertwines. I love that, you know, like manifesting is not like just only hands-on and 3D and human lifestyle. It's like we bring in spiritual tools and ways to go deeper and listen to the heart's calling and everything too. And it's funny you said that because I just recorded a video for my channels about having that bond with the universe or the source, whatever anybody feels is right for them, right? But creating that stronger bond so you can really lean into trust and unwavering faith and allowing the universe to help co-create with you.
Yes.
Love it. It's all intertwined.
It is. It is co-creation. It's all about co-creation.
It is. Yes, absolutely. So I'm wondering about when you say you are a mentor or a strategist rather for high achieving spiritual leaders, how would you define that for somebody who's maybe out there wondering, oh, well, maybe Jennifer could be like a great mentor for me to lean into? What does that mean in the 3D?
Yeah. So one of the gifts that I have, so I have a natural gift for helping people to take big concepts and big visions and break them down into actionable steps to manifest them in their physical reality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So whatever the vision is, right, there is always a component of strategy. There's always a component of practical, you know, just kind of mapping things out in order to achieve what we want. Especially in the spiritual community, or just what I really mean is not so much spiritual community, but when someone is focused on their ascension and their growth, right? I actually refer to this term as being stuck in a state of becoming. What happens is that we experience this phase of wanting to absorb so much information. And what can happen is that we can confuse the consumption of information and learning with taking action, right? So you're learning all this information, but you're not taking the physical action that's needed. And so that's really what being a strategist means for me in support of my clients.
Oh, I love that. I love that because like as you know me, I'm always wanting to learn and grow. And I know a lot of listeners to Namaste with Renee are always wanting to lean in and grow and expand. And it's so true. There is a difference from doing that work. And what was the term you used? Being stuck in
a state of becoming.
In a state of becoming.
Yes.
That is so cool. And like checking that off the list as like taking action, but it's really, it's helping the business, right? Because it's helping the self, but it's not like, hey, I need to get down and dirty and do these, check these things off my list to be able to bring my business to the world or to my ideal client.
Yeah. Something else I'm feeling guided to bring forward right now too, just going back to the strategy discussion. So before I started my own business several years ago, I was a director in store operations for a large retail company. And I was the gatekeeper for process improvement. So my experience in optimizing processes has also served me well in the support of my clients and my own business. I'm feeling guided to point this out right now to everybody who's listening, just because often when we experience an awakening, right, and then we become focused on our ascension, what can happen is that we're kind of like throwing out like who we were before, and really it's the culmination of our entire life here, all of our experiences and even learned skills that contribute to living our purpose and fulfilling the mission that we're called to do here. So I just wanted to point out, leveraging your past skills and experience can also serve very well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I see that for sure. I mean, with what you're even explaining, like with what you did in retail, like having those skills that you've learned and accumulated and have been so helpful in the retail world, like you're now able to take that and hold and serve the same purpose, but on a different level, or for, now it's your own business. So that's a whole nother amazing chapter too, right?
Yeah, it is. And even just being an entrepreneur over the last few years, it's gone through different iterations. Our purpose isn't like a one and done destination. It's an evolution.
Thank you for saying that. I was actually just about to ask you that because I wanted you to explain more about that and dive into it more, because I do believe that the life purpose, like we get to realize it in the reality in all ways, shapes, and form. And it does grow with who we are becoming. It does grow with our mission, and it's okay. And I think that's an important thing for people to hear today too, is that it's okay to change your mission. It's okay to change your life purpose along the journey, because you are changing. So naturally your passions will go from, something over on the left side, then I'll travel over here on the right side. And that's completely okay. And I think a lot of times when people are going through or starting their journey in the awakening, right? Because especially now too, where we've had basically 2 years to really look in the mirror and see, hey, what is really serving me in my life, and what can I do for myself, or start a business, or do something for my family, and all these things that I know people have gone through in the last few years. It's like we get to really have this beautiful awakening into not only spirituality, but like intertwining and bringing it all together. And I think that some people are so married to how they feel they should be according to society or according to caregivers or whatever. And they don't allow themselves the process of evolving into what their passions and purpose is. So I love so much that you shared that, because that really is part of the beautiful awakening of all.
It is, there's a lot of inversion in the world, and that's a whole other episode, but just to say that many of us are conditioned to believe that change is something to be feared, but that's the opposite of what change really is. change is evolution. Our soul craves expansion. That is why we are here on this earth, to learn and to expand and to evolve and to connect.
Yes. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Thank you, Jennifer. That's amazing. So, what else would you like to share? I mean, this is like, I know you said the inversion, that could be a conversation for a later episode, because that spikes my ears up a little bit. And I think that to have more truth dropped in that area would be important for people who listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm feeling, I'd say what I'm feeling guided to bring forward right now is that, I mean, whoever's listening to this show, chances are, they're awake to whatever extent that is for them, right? And seeing all that's swirling around in the world currently, and that we're living in a time of great transformation. I say transformation, and that implies change, which is true, but it's really not so much about change as it is living in a time where it's time to remember who we really are. It's time to bring forward the ancient wisdom that is already within us.
Yes. Yes.
And to align with our highest purpose and mission that we have for this current lifetime here, and that can feel big, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, here I am now on my path, and how do I make a difference, and how do I align with what Jennifer's talking about right now? And it's really just starting with, the biggest difference that you can make in the world is having a clear sense of self, and just starting with yourself and reflecting on, based on where you're at right now, what are your beliefs and values? Just even like the top 5 values. And what are those skills that you've honed, and the experiences you've had in your life that have been crystallized into wisdom that you can share with others? And most important, what brings you joy?
Yes.
Because joy is alchemy.
Yes.
When you focus on what brings you joy, how you're showing up to contribute to others' journey, and the money, and I have to bring that up because I know money is a thing for a lot of people. All of those other things fall into place, and it's not just us on that journey, right? You mentioned this earlier. It's the universe, it's God, whatever that source is for you. It's a process of co-creation. And when you surrender to what you signed up to do here, it's intertwined with what brings you joy.
It totally.
I think what causes a lot of resistance initially with people surrendering to their purpose, to that path, is that they feel like they're going to be stepping into a place of servitude. And it's not servitude. It's contribution.
What a difference in those 2 words.
Yes. So when you surrender to your purpose and what you're being called to do, you're surrendering to your joy. You're surrendering to designing the life you want to live.
Yes.
So just let go.
Exactly. Yes. Wow. It is that surrender to joy.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Your mission, your purpose, the joy, they're all intertwined.
Yes. Yes. That's really landing with me. I'm just receiving this right now. It is something that must be spoken of and said.
Yes. And it is that simple.
It is.
What makes it feel complicated, sometimes is our ego mind. It's our concern about being judged. It's our emotional attachments to what other people's opinions are about what we're doing.
Yes.
And most of the opinions that you're likely concerned about are from people who are sitting in the peanut gallery and they're not in the game, like doing the thing.
Yes, 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 yes. When we can totally even just allow that to be away from us and to not really control the mind anymore, right? Even if it comes up once in a while, okay. But when you just can take that out of the equation, just that one piece of worrying about what are people going to think of me, or exactly what you said, the people that you are thinking that may not even be thinking of you. Oftentimes I think we make it more of a big deal than it really is. I know that was something for me stepping out back when I had first opened my business, that I was like a little bit like shy, like a little mousy around things too. Cause I was like, wow, like this is so different from what I've ever done and what I'm going to be sharing. How are people going to view me? What are they going to think about my family? What are they? And then it's one of those things where it's like, you go through that whole battle, if you will, because it keeps you from your big dream. It keeps you further away from your purpose. And then when you just realize like, those words really they can't affect you, because one, most likely they're being said, if they even are, right? Because sometimes we have conversations that aren't even existing, but they're always going to be a reflection. When someone's speaking badly about you, it's a reflection of them. It's not even about you, right? And so when we can detach from that and be like, okay, we're still going to step up because I know I have a mission. Source has given me this beautiful gift to come and share with the world, whatever it may be, knowing that you're the only one with your harmonics, with your energy, with your expression that can have it in this lifetime. It's like, oh, let me get out of my own way here and let me show up for you, universe, and for you, humanity, or whoever you're serving. And then it's just joy, because you can lean in. It's safe.
Yes, any resistance is mental. In your mental space, it's all programming from what you've been taught by people in your life, or just through exposed to a society that promotes conformity. That's the thing.
Yes.
All of us have been living in a society that promotes conforming. Fortunately, that's changing.
Yes. Yes. Definitely fortunate.
And again, the best way to just have a positive impact during this time, again, is to be clear in your sense of self and to allow yourself to surrender to what brings you joy.
That was absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. I feel like you've just like wrapped it up in a beautiful bow and you're like, here, everyone.
that bow that I just wrapped up is a culmination of years
yes. Oh my gosh.
Of falling into my own potholes, so to speak. It's funny because I'm thinking about, just yesterday, I'm co-authoring this book where like I contributed as an author to provide a chapter, right? And the name of the book is Sacred Redesign. It's being released in, I think, on April 22nd, but I'm bringing it up because it's about sharing my story. And trust me, people, like whoever is listening, people pleasing and the fear of judgment was a major component of my journey in terms of allowing myself to really fully be seen and to overcome that. Some of that was societal programming. Some of it was also a lot of unhealed trauma that I had to work through so that I could feel safe in sharing my message. And I'm bringing that up because I know a lot of people listening to this can relate to that.
Absolutely. I know I personally can relate to that for sure. And I know that in some way, shape, or form, people can either say, oh, that's me right now, or like, oh, I remember I worked on this to be able to be more seen and feel safe.
Yeah.
So it's such a beautiful part of the healing too, because once we get through that and we're on the other side, it's like another layer of unlimited possibilities unfold before you. And standing your
Yes.
truth and authenticity. I mean, wow, even just for myself over the last 6 months, I'm like, whoop, peeled it back. Here we go. Like whole new level now.
Yes.
And, and it's been amazing because it's the joy. I literally get to stay in the state of joy. Like even doing video now, for the first season I did of Namaste with Renee on the podcast, we did mainly recording. So if I would have somebody come into the studio, we would record, but no one would see our faces. And now this is, now we're doing things on video and putting them out on YouTube and all these other channels. And I'm like, wow, even that's a different ability for me and those people who are coming onto the show to even be more seen too. So it's like, okay, like, let's keep walking down. I'm being more visible. Like I'm getting more comfortable with this and allowing the conversation to be what it is. And in trust that whatever that is needed to be said will, from both parties, from everybody who's on the show. So yeah, it's a beautiful journey. And you have absolutely hit so many nails on the head today, Jennifer, that I'm like, I'm going to have to look back on this episode for all of these different, like the awesome things that you've shared with us. I'm like, what could even be the title of this episode? So by the time it comes out, of course, there'll be a title for everybody tuning in. But Jennifer, will you share with everybody where they can find you and what you're currently offering if anyone's feeling called to come into your energy field?
Yeah. So I am on social media, but to make things simple and easy, you can connect with me through my website at jenniferspor.com. So that's Jennifer with 2 N's, JENNIFERSPOR. And you can also email me, jennifer@jenniferspor.com. And if you're feeling drawn to learn more about the Akashic Records, if you go to my website under the Work With Me tab, you'll see a tab there that says Akashic Soul Purpose Readings, and you can schedule a reading with me to experience that for yourself, to experience the power of manifesting and healing through your records.
That sounds so amazing.
It is very delicious.
Literally. I'm like, oh, it's juicy. It's delicious. Oh, I'm like hungry for it.
It is.
It's so amazing. And for everybody listening to, Jennifer and I have become colleagues over the last 6 months. We're in an amazing group together at 2 groups. Well, actually, are we in 3 groups together now, Jennifer, I think?
A couple groups.
Yeah, we've got a bunch going on. But I always am watching your podcast and your videos that you're putting out. And just even sometimes when you just drop a statement, like as a post on your social media, I'm like, damn, like that hit me right where I needed to be at today. It's like perfect. So for anyone who wants to follow your accounts, they can find your information on your website too.
Yes. Okay. There are icons at the top of the page of my website. So I spend the most time on LinkedIn and Facebook, but I'm also on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing your light and your wisdom, your time and energy with us today, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being on Namaste with Renee.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you so much. I just love basking in your energy, and we had such a fun conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to be on your podcast in the coming months. I'm so excited about that. So your podcast, Awake and On Purpose, where can the listeners find it?
Oh, yes. My podcast is on pretty much every major platform. So perfect. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. Also, when you visit my website, there's a separate tab for my podcast.
Oh, perfect.
So you can click on that and it will show you all of the platforms that you can
listen good. So let's just send everybody to your website.
To the website.
And they'll be able to find all the goodies.
Everything. Yes.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Jennifer. And thanks to everybody who have listened and tuned into this episode. I wish you an amazing rest of your day. The light in me honors the light within each and every single one of you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.